Good morning to my dear students. Welcome to the introduction of strategic management principles and theories. Have you ever checked online the list of top multinational company ranked by Forbes, Fortune, Statista, CEO WorldBiz, Simeon Dajku of New Zealand of Doing Business Index? The manner of ranking companies by those entities is not a question, but the focus should be what makes this company included in the list. The overrated term is strategy. At the heart of strategic management is the question, how and why do some firms outperform others? The challenge to managers is to develop and implement strategies that will provide competitive advantages that will be sustainable over time. Today, I will give an insight of what ought to be achieved for this chapter. Definition and distributions of ISTRAMA. I use the acronym of International Strategic Management as ISTRAMA for short intonation. Let us study the general overview of strategic process and role played by corporate government and stakeholders in selecting strategies. Lastly, this chapter entails the contribution of corporate social responsibility, empowered organization, and coherence. Coherence, the synonym of coherence is consistency in the organizations. This chapter is divided into six sections. Okay, the first section addresses the broad question, what is strategic management? Here we define strategic management as consisting of the analysis, decisions, and actions of organization undertakes to create a sustainable competitive advantages. So you could see here again another acronym ADA. Analyze, decide, and act. Why do they have to analyze? Why do they have to decide? And why do they have to act? For the organization, create a sustainable competitive advantages. We're also going to address the four key attributes of strategic management concerned with overall objectives. Secondly, we're going to present the three processes. The ADA also stands for AFI, analysis, formulation, and implementation that provide the framework for the overall organization of the 13 chapters of the book. The third section focuses on the vital role of corporate governance, which is essential to ensuring that the actions of a firm's management are consistent with the goals of its owners, also the stakeholders or the shareholders. The fourth section addresses today's greater need for a strategic management perspective throughout the organization. With the emergence of the knowledge of economy and globalization, leaders must mobilize people throughout the organization. Lastly, we will discuss the need for organizations to attain consistency in their vision, mission, and strategic objectives. Collectively, they form a hierarchy of goals. What do you think are the reasons why Samsung and Apple take the leads in electronic industry, makes Amazon and Alibaba world's most valuable retailer but has no inventory, position Airbnb as largest accommodation provider but owns no real estate? Again, the overrated term is strategy, a game plan, tactics, and more. A clever quote from Arthur Martinez: the former chairman of Sears, today's peacock is tomorrow's feather duster. To help illustrate the rapid turnover among the Fortune 500 firms over a period of time, with rapid changing technologies and intensified global competition, success can be temporary and new entrants can shake up a long-standing industry. Who is responsible for the success and failure of the company? When things don't go well, much of the failure of an organization can also rightfully be attributed to the leader. Introduced are the concepts of romantic leadership versus the resource perspective. Even innovative firms struggle in the marketplace if they do not anticipate and respond proactively to changes in the environment. They could not cope up with the competition. Today's leaders face a large number of complex challenges in the global marketplace. In considering how much credit or blame they deserve, two perspectives of leadership immediately come to mind: the romantic and external control perspective. There are two perspectives of leadership. You could see their external control view of leadership and romantic view of leadership. External control view of leadership, it pertains to a situation in which external forces wherein the leader has a limited influence. It determines the organization's success. For example, economic downturns. Leader has no control with economic downturns. Or the leadership could be in the perspective of romantic view. It means the situation wherein the leader is the key force determining the organization's success or lack thereof. For example, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs applied seven principles which made Apple innovative genius. A good leader can make a difference. They can make Peacock today and tomorrow the king of all kings. Leader must know how to anticipate change. Game changer, as they say. Create coherent strategies, foresee company opportunities and threats, and implement strategies fittingly. We point out that it is very important for managers to see their jobs as more than just custodians of the status quo. Rather, they must proactively anticipate change and continually refine, as well as, when necessary, make significant changes to their strategies. This has become particularly important as competitive environments become characterized by increasing rates of unpredictable change. We define strategic management as consisting of ADA, analysis, decisions, and actions an organization undertakes in order to create and sustain competitive advantages. We believe this definition captures two main elements of the field of strategic management. First, strategic management entails three ongoing process. Okay? ADA process: analysis, decisions, and action. It means that managers must analyze the internal and external environment as well as their hierarchy of goals in order to formulate and implement strategies. Second, the essence of strategic management is the study of why some firms outperform others. Strategizing involves analysis, analyzing what the company wants to be, decide what industry should we compete in, and how they compete in those industry. Lastly, take actions. utilizing resources efficiently and effectively. That is in the management part. We draw on Michael Porter's work to make the important distinction between strategy and operational effectiveness. There are two fundamental questions that might describe competitive advantages and operational effectiveness. The first question explains that competitive advantages is a firm's resources and capabilities that enable it to overcome the competitive forces in its industry. The second question describes operational effectiveness as performing similar activities better than rivals. Sustainable competitive advantage is possible only by performing different activities from rivals or performing similar activities in different ways. The answer to the question why Apple, Samsung, Amazon, Alibaba, Uber, and Airbnb have a common denominator of success is that their business managers create advantages that are better than rivals and sustainable over a period of time instead of merely temporary. They are making a game plan wherein their competitors could not do that or could not imitate a unique game plan that they can use for a long period of time. In the Philippines, there is a basketball team. The name of the team is Alaska basketball team. For about 4 years, consistent 4 years, okay, the team won the championship of the basketball league. No one defeat them for 4 years. No one could ever found out what is the game plan of their coach, Team Cone, American basketball coach, okay, Team Cone. And don't you know that this coach, Team Cone, wherever he goes, whichever team he will be assigned, it is guaranteed that the team is going to experience a championship in a particular season in basketball league. Why? Because Team Co, that leader, has a particular um, strategy better than competitors, better than other team, and he was able to sustain that kind of strategy. Here, we address four key attributes of strategic management. Strategic management is directed toward organizational goals and objectives. When you have a game plan, when you have a trick, when you have a strategy, it should be directed towards organizations, goals, and objectives. It also includes multiple stakeholders in decision making, incorporates both short-term and long-term perspective, and recognize trade-offs between effectiveness and efficiency. Managers must know how to align resources to take advantage of existing product markets and proactively explore new opportunities. And we call it ambidextrous. Okay, so say to yourself, I will become an ambidextrous manager. Okay, a manager who can face challenges, who is armored with wisdom of bringing resources into line favorable for the company. The challenges that managers face, according to Wendy Smith and her colleagues, that is being published in 2016 HBR article, it, It consists of innovation paradox, wherein there is a tension among new products, globalization paradox. Okay, it means if the company has the capacity to connect globally, and the last one is a challenges about obligation. It refers to the tension between social responsibility. Thus, an organization creates an image wherein the society is also benefiting from the success of the organization. In general, there are two kinds of strategies: the intended strategies and the realized strategies. Intended strategy, in which organizational decisions are determined only by analysis. You only analyze the situation of your company. For example, Dave McConnell. Okay. Dave McConnell aspired to be a writer. When his books weren't selling, he decided to give out perfume as gimmick. So he wants to be a good writer. He write a book, but when the book is not selling that well, he thinks something that will make his books sellable. He include perfume. That is intended strategy. And how about realized strategy? Realized strategy is wherein strategy in which organizational decisions are determined by both analysis and unforeseen environmental developments, unanticipated resource constraints, and or changes in managerial preferences. I'm going to give you an example of realized strategy. McConnell changed the name of its company to what? Any guess of a famous cosmetic company? Okay. McConnell changed the name of its company to Avon. Sounds familiar? Maybe you are only familiar with Revlon and what else? Um, the Innisfree. Okay, those and a lot of cosmetic being sold in Olivia. Okay, in 1929, from writing a book, okay, McConnell changed the name into Avon, and its direct marketing system, and nowadays it has been popular for decades. Avon is now one of the world's cosmetic perfume and clothing. From being a writer, made the perfume as gimmick, eventually turned the table to a multi-level marketing company. If you can see the strategy spotlight 1.1 in your book, page 9, it illustrates the four examples of ambidextrous behaviors. It provides some suggestions on how one can become an ambidextrous leader. For example, ambidextrous managers take time and are alert to opportunities beyond the confines of their jobs. Another one, they are cooperative and seek out opportunities to combine their efforts with others. So those are the example of ambidextrous manager. So they are kind of not that genius, but very eager to find opportunities that will help our organization um, profit from that situation. We restate the three ongoing processes in strategic management: analysis, decisions, and actions from ADA to AFI. So we refer it as analysis, formulation, and implementation. You could see here in the exhibit 1.3 the strategic management process. Okay? Here is the pink colored box, which is pertaining to the strategic analysis. When you when you plan to strategize, you have to analyze. What are you going to analyze? The goals, the objectives, the internal and external environments of the company, and then the entrepreneurial, the and the intellectual capital of the company. Okay? You can see here the blue box, okay, the blue colored box are the different levels of formulating strategy. So when you create a strategy, it has a different level. A strategy for business, okay, in the corporate level, international level, and entrepreneurial level. Lastly, you could see the process of implementation. Okay, the pale yellow box, you could see the different ways of implementing its strategies. Okay. It includes the control, creating effective organizational designs, strategic leadership, excellent ethics and change, and of course, fostering corporate entrepreneurship. So you the last part of the book, you could see the different case studies wherein you could choose what case study that you would like to present. Strategy analysis consists of, in effect, the advanced work that must be done in order to effectively formulate and implement strategies. Of course, you could not just throw a ball without thinking, where should I throw the ball, whom I'm gonna hit. Okay, you have to analyze. Okay, many strategies fail because managers may want to formulate and implement strategies without a careful analysis of the overarching goals of the organization, as well as a thorough analysis of its external and internal environment. What to analyze? Okay, you have to analyze organization goals and objectives, what company wants to achieve and how it will be done. For the external environment, you have to analyze or assess um, the forces outside your company, like customers, government, suppliers, competitors, and the industry. Okay. External environment, again, those are the forces where the company doesn't have any control. Okay. You also have to analyze the internal environment. It will cover it in chapter 3. These are forces within the company, and these are potential sources of competitive advantages. Why? Because you have the control over it. The manpower, your money, the minutes, the meters, the machine, the method, you all have the control over it. That's why we call it internal environment. And also you have to assess a firm's intellectual asset. In short, your genius, highly competitive manpower. Right position for the right person at the right time at the right job. After analyzing the company situations, organizations will decide according to the result of assessment. Decisions related to firms' investments, commitments, and other aspects of operations that create and sustain competitive advantage. A firm strategy is formulated at several levels. First, business level. A level strategy addresses the issue of how firms compete in an industry to gain competitive advantage. Okay? that is in the business level. Secondly, corporate level. It focuses on two issues: what businesses to compete in and how business can be managed to achieve synergy, that is, create more values by working together than if they operated as a standalone entity. Third, firms must develop international strategies as they expand beyond their national boundaries. Example in Asia, Europe, Australia, and other part of the world. Lastly, you're going to make a strategy based on uh, entrepreneurial capacity of the company. A manager must develop entrepreneurial strategies and be aware of the competitive dynamics in their industry. Fred Smith, the CEO of FedEx, once said, "You can have the best operations. You can be the most adept at whatever it is that you are doing. But if you have a bad strategy, it's all for naught." Your business level strategy is based on sustainable competitive advantage. Either a company will focus on cost leadership. This kind of strategy is being used by McDonald's, Walmart, Southwest Airlines. Okay, they are strategizing in cheapest price. Okay? How they can do that? By acquiring quality raw materials at the lowest price. Secondly, there is another strategy, differentiation, wherein your brand identifies the one thing that makes it genuinely different from competitors and then leveraging effectively attract ideal customers. Example, Lush. Okay, mostly 80% of the product of cosmetic of Lush is vegan cosmetics. No animal testing, so it means that no lipsticks tested for the pigs and monkeys. Just kidding. But it is literally zero on animal testing. So they don't use animal to test their cosmetics and other products. Another one who used differentiation strategy, T-Mobile. Are you familiar with T-Mobile? Okay, it started to compete with AT&T and Verizon. It focused on a younger demographic than its competitors. The design is for preteens, teens, and college students. I don't know if you have a T-Mobile here in Korea. I haven't heard about it yet. Third strategy is the market segmentation. Um, Market segmentation can be according to the behavior of customer. You're going to design product according to your customer. That's why you will notice that uh, KFC here in Korea, they don't serve chicken with rice, and they don't serve gravy. You know, gravy, that is the dip sauce for fried chicken. And here you will notice McDonald's, KFC, Loteria, Burger King. They have a bulgogi burger. But if you're going to check McDonald's, Burger King in other country, they don't have bulgogi burger because that is designed intended for Korean markets. Normally, this market segmentation can be seen implemented by banks, skincare or beauty products, car companies, clothing and apparel, television networks, and other industry. If you have time, you could watch in YouTube the commercial of Fiat 500S. There is a funny video wherein they test the car for the mood of a wife. Okay, so you try to watch that commercial, and it's kind of funny, but You will learn and you will see how they use this commercial to strategize capturing a particular market. In terms of international strategy, what is the appropriate entry strategy that a company should implement or should formulate? And how the company could go about attaining competitive advantage in international markets. Again, you keep on hearing to me the word competitive advantage. When you say competitive advantage, these are the strategy wherein you utilize your resources, wherein you're the only company who have that kind of resources. Not only a company, but um, dominantly, okay, you have a superior capacity to utilize this kind of resources. And lastly, entrepreneurial strategy focuses on recognizing viable opportunities. Example, nowadays, what is the most in-demand product in the market in Korea? Not just only in Korea, in the Philippines. Second to China is Italy, then Iran. We're also experiencing this coronavirus, and the products are masks, alcohol, and sanitizer. But this kind of products are only being sold or being in demand in the medical industry, right? But nowadays, company may take this opportunity to manufacture this kind of products and sell them in a high price. Normally, before coronavirus, one time I bought a mask. It only cost around chanon in Daiso, and you could have at least 3 pieces of mask. But now you could buy a mask, okay, the KF94, KF95 for around 1,500 won in selected Yakult, okay, selected drugstore. I also experienced to fall in line for 4 hours in post office just to buy a mask. Okay? One person, you can only buy only 5 masks. But also nowadays, if you go to Yakult, you could buy only um, twice a week, I think, and depending on your birthday. So they systematize this kind of a situation. Okay? And entrepreneur are taking advantage of this kind of situation. Clearly, effective strategies are of little value if they are not properly implemented. Implementing strategies involve strategic controls and organizational designs, coordination, and integration among activities within the firm, as well as with customers and suppliers, and effective leadership. The keywords for implementation or the proper implementation of strategy are control, effective designs, excellent leaderships, and entrepreneurship. You strategize involving managing resources properly, positioning in the market accordingly, and operating profitably. Implementing strategy considers controls in different aspects of governance. We control information from the business environment accurately. We control behavior by rewarding people's effort and respecting human differences. With this manner, strategies in corporate governance can be implemented in effective way. When we say effective design, it means organizational structure must be consistent with strategy, flexible boundaries, and Alliances should capitalize organizations' capabilities. You utilize what you have. When you don't have, outsources. You do outsourcing, and then that could make a sense that you create effective organizational designs. Even the saying goes, business is business. Our organization should set high standards of serving code of conduct, the ethics in organization. Company earns, employee learns, and building effective leaders. Lastly, the objective of strategy implementation is to foster continuous growth, innovation, and exploring new opportunities. That is fostering corporate entrepreneurship. For our part 5, we discussed three important and related concepts: the corporate governance, stakeholder management, and the social responsibility as another conceptual framework for strategizing. Clearly, these topics, especially corporate governance, have generated quite a bit of controversy, and the topic should lead to some spirited discussion, if permitted. So, but we are having online class, that's why. So, we're going to proceed on the um, PowerPoint presentation. Corporate governance addresses the relationship between various participants in determining the overall direction and performance of corporations. It consists of three primary participants: shareholders, management, and the board of directors, the BOD. You can see in the exhibit 1.4, it illustrates the three key elements of corporate governance. The BOD, the Board of Directors, provides detailed procedures for formal evaluation of directors and the firm's top officers. Such guidelines serve to ensure that management is acting in the best interest of shareholders. In the chapter 9, we're going to discuss the highlights, the importance of internal and external control mechanism to ensure effective corporate governance. Each participant has specific expectations from the management, shareholders, and the VODs. Not just only expectation, but of course, duties and responsibilities to be satisfied. I have a question. Do you know how much executive officers are being paid? The presidents, the CEOs, how much do you think they receive? There's one example in the book. It is the Rec Center for Corporate Governance at Stanford University. They posed a question for 1,200 people, and they asked, how much does the average CEO of a major corporation make? The salary. The answer was quite surprising. So they assumed that it is $1 million, okay, which is both a round number and seems like, of course, a lot of money. But in reality, that's per year. The real answer is quite a bit higher, $10.3 million. That is according to a 2015 report from the compensation trackers at Equilar. $10.3 million. So if you are an executive officer, you're going to receive this kind of amount. In addition to shareholders, there are other stakeholders like employees, suppliers, creditors, customers, government, and community who must be taken into account. You strategize not just only for the company, We strategize also for the external stakeholder, and these are the external suppliers add to the community, and employees is your internal stakeholder. Okay, a stakeholder can be defined as the individual or group inside or outside the company that has a stake in and can influence an organization's performance. Each shareholder or stakeholder group could, uh, could make various claims on the company. That's why you have to practice stakeholder management. Okay? A firm's strategy for recognizing and responding to the interests of all its salient stakeholders. Okay. In these sections, we're going to recognize, of course, that there are often conflicting demands. We strategize, as I said, for the employee, for the other stakeholders, okay? But sometimes there are self-vested interests among an organization's stakeholders. However, manager needs a knowledge, the appropriate knowledge, to the interdependence among stakeholders and strive to achieve symbiosis. That is, the recognition that stakeholders are independent upon one another for their success and well-being. Okay, how are you going to manage the stakeholder? Okay, there is number one, there is a perspective of zero sum, and the other one is the symbiosis. Okay. For zero sum, the gain of one is the loss to the other. For the symbiosis, stakeholders receive mutual benefits. However, organizations can be achieved. Of course, we are going to strategize to achieve mutual benefits for stakeholder, and that's why that pertains to symbolism. Mm, symbiosis, sorry, symbiosis or symbiosis. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the part 6. Okay. Managers must consider the needs of the broader community at large and act in a socially responsible manner. Social responsibility is the expectation that businesses or individuals will strive to improve the overall welfare of a society. Are you familiar with the song Price Tag? It's not about the money, money, money. Okay? Of course, that is, I could say, the ultimate goal of the company to gain profit. But uh, it's not just all about money. Business goals are not merely about earning money. It has a sense of like apple pie virtue. Okay? You share your apple pie. Business aims to improve overall welfare of society, and we call it corporate social responsibility, or simply as sharing the benefits to the society. Next, we state that many companies are measuring what they call the triple bottom line. Such a technique involves an assessment of environmental, social, and financial performance. We state that environmental sustainability is now a value embraced by most successful corporations. It is important to stress that when considering the triple bottom line, there are not always trade-offs. At times, firms can attain symbiosis, that is, increasing their effectiveness in attaining multiple bottom lines simultaneously. Okay, that's why in Strategy Spotlight 1.2 of your book, it addresses how Walmart can increase revenues and cut costs via sustainability initiatives. So this kind of strategy is that the company is benefiting and so as the environment and the society. Okay. One of the practice or strategy of Walmart were in 2015, uh, they plan to buy like a solar panel as a source of energy. And then since then, Walmart was getting 20%, 26% of its worldwide power from green resources. That's why you will notice that some organizations, there is a practice called green hotels, green restaurant, green office, a green school, green factory, etc., etc. So those companies are conserving and implementing environmental friendly practices or operation. Okay, more so, corporate social responsibility, and it is the acronym is CSR, are viewed in terms of three theaters. Okay, the theaters. The theater one, CSR, is also known to be philan- philanthropic or philanthropy. Okay, philanthropic act. Secondly, you are doing a CSR by improving operational effectiveness. There is one hotel in the Philippines that is Sofitel Hotel. um, they hire, of course, women with children, okay, and if they weren't able to attend to their family's needs, sometimes they allow their employees to bring their children in the hotel, and the hotel has a lounge like already jeep here in Korea, and they uh, they allow employees with children to bring their children in that place for free, so that the parents, the mother, can work, okay, even though uh even though their children is also with them in the hotel. It's kind of convenient, and that is improving operational effectiveness. And the third one is transforming the business model, like what Apple and Samsung is doing. Okay, there is an emerging need for empowerment and a strategic management perspective throughout organization. Okay, this is another perspective of a strategy. Okay, you strategize by empowering, okay, your management. This is primarily due to today's increasingly complex, interconnected, and ever-changing global economy. Your style before could not be applicable now. That's why you need to empower your strategy, your resources. To develop, and mobilize people and other organizational assets, leaders are required throughout the organization, as noted by MIT's Peter Singh. There is a need for three types of leaders. Okay, you're not just going to empower your materials, but initially you're going to empower your manpower itself, your people. Okay, there are three lines of leader: local line leaders, executive leaders, and internal networkers. Local line leader, they are after with the increasing the profit, okay, and profit and loss responsibility. For executive leaders, okay, they have this kind of champion and guide ideas. For the internal networkers, okay, they hold little positional power, but they have such kind of convincing power. Okay, they have a convincing power, and also a clarity of ideas. If you're going to take a look in page 23, you will see the spotlight, the strategy, and the value of inexperience. It shows that the further reinforcement of people, okay, creates a benefits of broad involvement throughout the organization in the strategic management process. Okay, It's about the filming of the movie Gorillas in the Mist. It and it points out the value of inexperience. Okay, the Ritz Carlton Hotel, okay, the first European hotel by owned by Sir Ritz. Um, they call their they call their employees as ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. For the Disneyland, um, they call their employees as cast, as if they're also a part of a role playing. Yeah, you know that in Disneyland there's a lot of magical shows. Okay, I hope that you were able to visit Disneyland too. Okay, so not just having the right process of analyzing, not just formulating, not just only implementing, not just having the a brand image by doing corporate social responsibility, not just by empowering your human resources, but of course, lastly, it is very important when you do strategies, it should be aligned with company's mission, vision, and strategic objectives. Okay, the hierarchy of goal has a relationship of two attributes. Okay, the general versus specific, and so this one is the vision's objectives, and the other one is time horizon, long term to short term. Okay, when you strategize, okay, it will give direction to the organization. That's why it is very important, okay, that you prioritize the alignment of the hierarchy of your goal. Okay, which one is priority? Is it immediate or not? Is it long term or not? Okay, so it is very important. You can see in the exhibit 1.6 the vision, mission, and strategic objectives. Okay, you could see which part is colored bigger. Okay, which one is prioritized, which one is not, whether it is specific or general. Okay, so it just simply means that coherence. Okay, it should be aligned. It should be consistent, okay, with your vision, going down to the mission, going down to your strategic objectives. Now let's proceed to the organizational vision. An organizational vision has been described as a goal that is massively inspiring, overarching, and long term. It should represent a destination and evoke passion. Okay, when I was in college, I was able to work in Pizza Hut. Okay, I remember the vision of Pizza Hut. Okay, is to be the first choice of every pizza occasion. That is their vision. Okay, there was a study wherein 1,500 senior leaders that points out the importance of a strong sense of vision as well as strategy formulation to achieve mission. Okay, some company they incorporate vision statement into slogan, diagram, or picture, whatever grabs attentions. And it provides an example, like for example, Canon. The tagline of Canon is Beat Xerox. And for the outboard Marine Corporation, to take the world boating. Not just only in the commercial, but also, in tourism. Um, Daegu. The tagline of Daegu is colorful Daegu. Okay, so you could see a different tourism taglines that attracts customers. Second to the last is the mission statement. I know that you are feel bored, but we're about to end the presentation. Okay, mission statement. A company's mission statement differs from its vision and it encompasses both the purpose of the company as well as the basis for competition and competitive advantages. Okay, in the page 25, Exhibit 1.7, it contains the vision statement and mission statement of WellPoint Health Network. Okay, because of that vision, okay, they were able to manage healthcare organization with the worth of $62 billion. So this exhibit helps to distinguish between those strategy concepts. Okay. Remember, effective mission statements incorporate the concept of stakeholder management and suggest that organizations must respond to multiple constituencies if they are to survive and prosper. They have the greatest impact when they are used to reflect on organizations' enduring, overarching strategic priorities and competitive positioning. Few mission statements identify profit or financial indicator as the sole purpose of the firm. Good mission statements must communicate why an organization is special and different. Lastly, strategic objectives. These are used to operationalize the mission statement. That is, they help to provide guidance on how the organization can fulfill or move toward the higher goals. In the goal hierarchy, the mission and vision. In page 27, it lists several strategic objectives divided into financial and non-financial objectives. Okay, so while most of these objectives are directed toward generating greater profit and returns for the owners of the business, others are directed at customers or the society at large, like BP Amoco's objective to reduce greenhouse gases over an extended period of time. So your objective should be meaningful, smart, measurable, specific, appropriate, realistic, and timely. Okay, so now we understand that the strategic management is a process consists of analyzing, decision making, and taking actions undertaken by an organization to create and sustain competitive advantages. Strategies has two important concepts, incorporates and stakeholder management, which may be taken account throughout the strategic management process. More so, okay, when we create strategy, of course, it is not easily, especially in the midst of organizational crisis. Okay, but being ambidextrous manager is needed. ADA, AFI, okay, should aim to align the organization's mission, visions into strategy. Remember, the secrets of success of multinational companies lies behind within creating a sustainable competitive advantages. On the top of all this, you make a game plan according to the situation of the company, according to the capabilities of the company, and according to the unforeseen events in the environment. That's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned a lot from this discussion.